And we're live. Hey, folks, this is Walt with the Indie Creator Spotlight on the BAMF podcast. And tonight we have a returning guest that we haven't had in about a minute, Mr. Nathan Kelly. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, doing good. Glad to be here.
Oh, we're glad to have you. What was it, about a year and a half ago that we had you on the last time?
Yeah, about that. About this been a while. Yeah,
And
over a year, I think.
you've had a couple things going since then. Can you, for those of the audience who have not had the pleasure or the privilege, can you give them a little bit of your background?
Okay, well, so I started in the comics industry with a graphic novel called Snarl way back that was originally published by Alterna and co-created with Kelly Bender. And after that, I hooked up with Bob Sally, and we got Drexler, like the concept of it going. Did that, kickstarted it about, what was it, a year and a half ago. Had a lot of, support and success with the first one, and took some time, from the end of that Kickstarter till right about now. Been working diligently, slowly but diligently, to get the pages for the second one ready. And that Kickstarter is currently live right now for Drexler number two. Um, I do want to mention that all the interior art, at least my art for the interior is complete for this second issue, which is kind of another reason why there was a big delay between Kickstarters. But it's all finished, and we just got to get it funded so I can finish the production with the colors and letters and get it printed and out to everybody.
Right on, right on. Now the big question: how did you get yourself in trouble, either that or on the run from the law, in order to run into Bob Sally?
I think what he actually messaged me out of the blue. Um, well, because originally I was working Drexler by myself. I was writing it and drawing it, and I started talking to him because he messaged me. He wanted to do something. He saw, I think he read Snarl and kind of liked it, and was like, "Hey, maybe I could do something with this guy." And we were just talking for a good little while there, and I was coming to him for advice on like how to write a story properly and how to pace this and that. And eventually it just kind of happened. I was just like, well, man, you giving me all this advice. Why don't if you why don't you just write it if you want to? He was like, yeah, I could do that. And that's kind of how it all came together for the first issue and ongoing right now for the second one.
Nice, nice. Now, for those of the people out there who aren't familiar with Bob, Bob writes the very popular Salvagers. He also just finished up on the. I think doing a collected of Ogre, which is his fantasy title, and he's pretty all over the place. He's pretty prolific. I mean, if you open
Yeah,
Facebook and you're a comics guy, Bob Sally's going to hit your pages at some point. So, I mean, that's pretty cool that you guys hooked up.
yeah, it was very fortuitous, at least for me.
So with number one coming out, when number one came out, it was pretty well received. Um, One thing that everybody said was they loved your art style. A lot of people started referencing Mignola. A lot of people started referencing some of the stuff that's been going on in Marvel lately. Um, uh, is that intentional? Do you have that art style? Is that a directed
Yeah,
aim?
it is. I mean, this is kind of like, starting out as an artist is trying to find yourself, sort of like what vibes visually for you, I think. So, when I was young, I would look at comic books, and I remember copying like Todd McFarlane and Mark Silvestri and trying to imitate their style. And as you continue to go on, you know, you just find something that really clicks with you. And for me, um, that moment happened when I started reading Hellboy and 100 Bullets. I was, looking at Mike Mignola's work and Eduardo Risso,
I love
and
100
those
bullets. Oh
those
my god.
those like high contrast styles is what ultimately like clicked in my brain. Is like, I want to draw like that, and I've just been, ever since then, I diligently work to make sure that my work kind of resembles well, I don't know if I'm trying to resemble it, but that sort of approach to drawing with high contrast, a lot of blacks. If I can get away with blacking out everything on a page and it made sense, I would do it.
Spilled ink, right?
Yeah, that's just like my artistic sense. At least right now, it's as an artist, because it's an involvement. You continue to grow. So if I continue at this, 5 years from now, maybe I'll be on to something else, or we'll see. But right now, that's kind of where I'm at in my artistic process.
Right on. Well, one of the things with the high contrast art style that you really get is the fact that it, like all the stuff that is supposed to stand out, really stands out. So, like Drexler's eyes, you have
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
this image of him kind of like hanging out in a log, and he's messed up some of those tentacles, and there's that deep, not deep, but like that really vibrant green that shows off against, and you layered that image with a lot of blue. I mean, that's very, very smart coloring choices, because it really draws the eyes, and gives you that sense of where you want that camera to be focused in the artwork. So I mean, that's damn cool.
Yeah, one of the benefits with that, like you said, is exactly just you show what you need to show. It's kind of a minimalist almost style where I try to imply detail rather than actually, go into intricate detail with like line work and stuff, through shadows and lights and darks and all that stuff, as much as possible. So it's cool.
Right on. So, if we have somebody who's just joining the show for the first time and they got into the Banff podcast elevator, and you're in there with them, and they say, "Hey, aren't you that Drexler dude? What's that all about?" Can you give them a quick pitch before we get to the fifth floor?
Yeah, yeah. So Drexler is basically about a small remote town, and this guy Drexler was ostracized from his community at a young age, and now this town is under siege. There's something sinister happening, and he's like their last hope to try and solve, you know, you know, try and figure out what it is that's happening. Who's killing these residents, and who's responsible for these disappearances, or what is responsible for these disappearances. So he's sort of like the outcast that they didn't like before. They all, turn their back on him, and now in their time of need, they realize they need this guy because he's the only person equipped with the side of, I guess, the training and the tools to complete the job. That's why I was the kind of the slug line was like it takes a monster. Sometimes it takes a monster to kill something worse. That's kind of where that comes from.
Right on, right on. And we've seen some of his handiwork in the first issue. So
Yeah.
when the last issue dropped, we were still in the woods, and there was a lot of mayhem going on. What's going on in issue two? I mean, you got some preview pages that are up on the Kickstarter that are really,
Yeah.
really slick. Can you talk a little bit about where the story's going in issue two?
So issue two, we almost pick up right where we left off, from the first issue, and then in this issue, we're going to see a little bit more about, I guess, a little bit of glimpse of what caused the community to turn their back on him at a young age. So we'll see the beginning stages of that, like what events transpired. And also in this issue, Drexler, in an act of selflessness to help someone else, finds himself very vulnerable to his enemies in this issue, and he's got to deal with that. He's sort of in a weakened state for most of, or pretty much the entire book, so it's going to be real interesting. And we'll meet some new characters, some new villains, that I've kind of already spilled the beans on with some of the pinups that I've been dropping, but oh well. So I think it's a fun book. The story keeps rolling on. The pacing is good. So I think people will enjoy it. If they like the first book, I think they'll like this next one as well.
Nice. So, for those of us who went in on the first one, you obviously want to see where the story's going, and uh, pick up the next one. If somebody didn't manage to get the first issue, can they get that online already?
Yes, and I'm offering print copies, digital copies as well through the Kickstarter if you wanted to go that route. But it is available online on Comixology. You could buy a copy on there, or you could go to I have it up as a webcomic as well on a site. I can't remember the name. Smack Jeeves.
There you go.
Smack Jeeves. There you go. You can read. You can actually read the entire first issue, and I think I have like the first 6 or 7 pages of issue 2 up on there as well. So you kind of get an extended preview of issue 2 that's currently on Kickstarter.
Nice. So, what did you guys learn from one Kickstarter to another? Usually, when you get a team that's going for round two, they get some sort of insight from the first one. Is there anything that stands out where you guys had the first one in the can and you're just like, all right, let's not do that again, or you said to yourself, hey,
Yes.
that worked, let's do that again?
Yeah. I foolishly. I mean, I'm gonna say this. If you're new to Kickstarter and you're doing comic books, I got carried away with the prints last time. Like, hey, I'll throw in, all these 11 by 17 prints. I do not recommend doing 11 by 17 prints. Make them 8.5 by 11. If it can fit in with the comic book, then you're golden. If you gotta package stuff separately, because I didn't want to fold them, because I think that would have been really tacky to get a folded with a nice crease in the middle of your poster and
Did
shove
you
that
go with
in
a
with.
mailer tube?
So yeah, I went with the mailer tubes, and it's not very like cost effective to do stuff like that. So that's one big thing I learned is like make sure whatever rewards that you offer, they can all fit in that nice comic book package mailer that you're going to send out. One trip to the post office and you're golden. You know what I mean? Instead of
Right on.
multiple, because going to the post office is not fun, especially when you got so many packages to send out. Um,
Oh yeah, because like right
yeah,
now, you got 185 backers. That's a lot of mailer tubes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's not cool.
So with
No, if you can avoid that, do it.
yeah, yeah, with with that said, what did you learn that you said, oh yeah, we got to do this again?
Um, you know, uh, again, everything that I could fit in the actual package is that was my big takeaway. That and in planning ahead of time. One of the things I learned on the first Kickstarter that I didn't budget for, like my first Kickstarter, I had no idea what I was doing. It was kind of like just dumb luck that it all worked out. It funded, overfunded, and I had enough, almost enough, to cover all my expenses. But I hadn't planned on, mailing supplies, the actual photo document mailers that I put the books in, backs and boards, like all of this stuff. Came to me after the fact. You know what I mean? So going into this one, I wanted to make sure I covered all my bases. I knew exactly, like, I need this, I need that. I don't want any kind of surprises. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
that's kind of the big takeaway that that I learned after the first one.
So with what you got going now, what's the sweet spot for somebody coming in? Like, hey, you want the best bang for your buck? This is the reward tier you want to splash.
If you're looking for a print copy, I think the best bang for your buck is to grab the three-peat. You'll get the variant cover, you'll get the regular cover, and you'll get issue one. Three-peat, I think, was a tier. Plus, I threw in that bonus um, Drexler trading card for everybody that I think comes in at $20 or more tier, I believe, so that you get all of that. Or if you want the T-shirt, I think that's another cool option. You'll get your choice of cover for issue two, whether that's the variant or the regular cover, and you get a print copy of number one as well, plus the trading card and everything else below it, below that tier. So that comes with the digital, and not to mention today we threw in for all my print level backers. If you're familiar with Judas Breed,
I was just going to mention
um,
that.
Kenneth Brown was nice enough to extend the offer for me to extend to everybody that supports this Kickstarter a chance to get a digital copy of his comic book Judas Breed, issues 1 through 3. Judas Breed, if you're not familiar, is like Kenneth Brown's version of the Aliens series, his reimagining of that. And as a huge fan of Aliens, I love Judas Breed. Judas Breed is awesome. So I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah, I have. I actually have all the comics over there, right behind me. They're all signed, bagged, boarded. He does good work too. He does really
Yeah, he
good work.
does. He does.
So that's really tight that he's throwing that in there. So with the three-peat, I mean you get that both issues, print and digital, and then you get that cool trading card. Um, now, if you guys say, like 100 people see this show and are like, yes, I need this immediately, and then they go out and they punch through, do you guys have stretch goals planned?
At the moment, I have one stretch goal planned. I do. And look, the way it's looking right now, I think we likely would only have one stretch goal to hit before time runs out. Um, but I'm working on a brand new project with another creator, Brian Hawkins, who wrote um,
He's the Kingdom, right?
Cornrows, yeah, and America's Kingdom. So I'm working with him on like a supernatural crime story, and my stretch goal is to get everybody, every backer a digital copy or a preview, I get of the first 4 pages of that brand new project.
Oh, that'd be
Um,
tight.
to get, I mean, yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. I'm really proud of how it's coming together right now. So um, that's actually what I'm working on as we speak as well. A few more pages for that. Yeah, it's going to be a really fun book.
Is this new upcoming book done in the same style as Drexler?
It's done in my style, so whatever style that is, it's gonna look like I did it, I think. But yeah, I know one way to draw right now, so I just draw how I draw.
Right on. Is he going to use the same colorist, letterer, that kind of thing?
um, I've talked, I have talked to a colorist I worked with before, on my first book, Snarl, way back almost like 6 years ago, I think. His name is Josh Jensen, and he does great work. He colored a few of those pinups that I've promoted for Drexler as well. He actually colored the cover of issue two, the regular cover. That's Josh Jensen's colors on that. So yeah, he's really good. And I spoke to him a few weeks ago and told him about this, and he said he had time and he was willing and available. So that's who I'm planning to use for Karsus. That's the name of the project I should mention. The supernatural project that I'm working on. It's called Karsus, and I talked to HDE, who letters Drex, and I think he's on board. So, he's my first choice for letters. So hopefully that'll work out too.
He's a lot of first choices for letters.
Yeah, yeah, he is.
He
He does
does. He
great
does
work.
really good work. Yeah, no doubt. Now uh, once we get this funded, because it's going to get funded. People love Drexler. Um,
Yeah, I hope so.
we're going to do it. Once this gets funded, do you guys have how many issues do you have this plotted out for?
It's probably going to end at 3. 3 issues was how we originally planned it. We had some discussion at some point of extending it out to 4, but I think we're both happy with ending it at 3. There's a lot of craziness still to come, So, stay tuned. I actually have another promotional piece that I'll be posting in the next, I don't know, maybe this week, next week sometime. But it's kind of it'll give you a kind of, I guess, a little foreshadowing of what's in store in the next, upcoming issue. Not so much of what's happening in issue two, but I thought it was a fun piece. It was just one of those things where, like, I was doing promotional art, and I just, the idea came to me, and I just went with it. So I'll debut it during this campaign. See what people think.
Now, has anybody come up to you and said, "Hey, I made a Drexler mask"?
No, but that would be very cool. Um, oh yeah, that would be very cool.
Because he does have a very distinctive look.
He does. He does actually. And I was kind of worried though because I saw that DC came out with I guess another version of Nightwing that I was looking at. I was like, oh man, he looks really similar to Drexler. DC, like the big two, they're always gonna beat me to the punch. But I was kind of worried. I was like, everyone's gonna think I ripped this character off from that. But what can you do?
Send him my way. We'll
But
set him straight.
but yeah, he does have I think a very unique and I try to keep the shading so that his eyes are always the focus and you can't really see much. I like to not like reveal too much on his face with the mask and whatnot. Just see what you need to see, and obviously the eyes are always going to be what stands out. Um, but yeah, I think his look is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and it goes really perfect when you look at the tagline for number two, and it says "When monsters collide." I mean, that's
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's pretty
yeah,
cool because I mean one of the things I really liked about Drexler is that because this whole idea of sometimes when you look into the abyss stares back at you, and you have to slap it in the teeth. You have to be the monster to fight the monster. Um, it's
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it shows up in the artwork because when he puts on that mask, it's like it's go time.
yeah.
Let's do something dirty, and he gets in and messes some stuff up. But I mean, at the same time, um, when he takes off that mask, there's almost that sense of because like before, this is a man that has been ostracized from his home. He's been probably looked down on most of his life, and you could tell that in the first issue when certain people from his past are like, "Oh, it's you,"
Yeah, yeah,
So it's almost like he like a he's got that second identity. He puts on the mask, and fine. I was never the monster you thought I was, but now I'm going to
yeah.
be the monster you need, which is
Exactly.
really really
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, exactly. I mean that's a perfect way to sum it up. To be honest, I like that. That fits. Um, and I think being left out in those sort of themes and mentalities to a certain extent. I mean, not to the extent that Drexler goes through, but that's something that everybody can sort of identify with at some point in their life. So I think it helps humanize him, even when he's wearing the mask. Um, if like it helps humanize the character, despite not being to see his face and the emotion that he might be displaying on. If we could actually see his face underneath the mask. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So has anybody approached you yet to make Drexler the video game or Drexler the tabletop role playing game? Anything like that?
No, not yet, not yet. Maybe one day. We'll see.
That would be very very cool. So make sure you get your licensing ducks in a row because after issue two hits big, we'll see that good things will be in store. So with you got 19 days to go, and
Yeah.
you're a little under halfway there. Um, if if you had to say one thing about what makes this special and draw people in, what would you tell them?
gosh, I mean, I just feel like it's a unique take. The artwork is, I think, I might be a little biased, but I think it's distinctive. It's just a different, I guess, vibe or feel from your, I think, typical comic book. Um, yeah, I just think, visually, I think we stand out. The story is fun. It's well paced, and I think anybody that comes out to pick up the book won't be disappointed. I should say, will enjoy it. So I encourage people to come out and check it out.
Hell yeah! I mean, that's what caught me on the first one was the art style. I was like, "What is this?" And I had to chase it. And then it was great that Bob had been involved, and that we had talked to him previously. So we managed to beg, borrow, and bribe you guys to come on and talk to us before. So I mean, that was pretty damn straight. That was cool. So we're just happy to have you come back and see an issue two because. We were really excited about the first issue, and like I said, if people aren't looking at this book, it's because they don't read comics. Because I mean, this is just one of those books that's so much fun, especially with the art, the story. There's a lot of layers to it. So I really think people should get out there and start pledging immediately. In fact, after we're done, just so that people don't see my credit card information, I'm definitely going to increase something to bump it up a little bit. That way we can,
Oh, well,
hell yeah, get
well,
this going.
appreciate that. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, trying to get it, I think it's just about getting eyes on. I really feel like, I've had a lot of, I guess, good support of, shares on certain social media platforms, Facebook in particular. There's a lot of people that share my posts, so I feel like um, it's being seen to a certain extent on that. But it's very hard to get it out to beyond people that are just already aware of me. You know what I mean? Like from the first issue. You know what I mean? That if that makes sense. It's
absolutely.
trying to get get people that aren't familiar with Drexler, familiar with Bob, familiar with me to take a look at this. That's the challenge I think for any indie creator, to be honest, is trying to reel in that new, fresh eyes, new potential audience people. Um, so that's just something we got to work through.
Right on. I gotcha. So if people want to check out number one, you said that they got that online. I'll grab the link from you and put it in the show notes a little bit later. But what's the name of that site again, real quick?
It's Smack Jeeves. I think it's actually, if you just go to like drexlerthewebcomic.com, that should take you there.
Right on. That's easy. And if people want to stalk you on the internet, where's the best place to find you?
Um, Facebook, you can find me, and I think my handle is nkelly nk28 on Facebook, or just Nathan Kelly. It's the geeky comic looking page if you go to Nathan Kelly on Facebook. And on Twitter, my handle is nkelly nk28 on Twitter. Feral Kingdom Studios, you can follow me on Instagram as well. And those are the primary platforms that I'm on or have an online presence at the moment.
Right on. So while we've been talking the whole time, you had said earlier that you've been you've been drawing and catching up on work. You doing it pen and ink, or you doing it digital?
I work 100% digital, so I discovered the digital platform actually while I was inking Snarl way back like 6, 7 years ago. I was actually halfway through inking Snarl, and at the time I was, pencil and paper. I would take it to like Kinko's, have it scanned and printed out so that I could ink over, because I wasn't confident enough to just ink over my straight pencils, and that was getting like really time consuming and expensive. And then obviously to to purchase the ink pens and whatnot and keep up with that, it gets expensive. So instead, I went out and bought a really expensive tablet one time, and I haven't looked back since. It's just, it's very forgiving. If I make a mistake, it's simple as, Control Z, and do-overs are amazing. I'm gonna lie.
Right on.
I have a very trial and error kind of approach to drawing, so it really suits my I guess my needs perfectly.
Right on. What for those artists out there that are listening to this and kind of can learn from your experience? What do you use to draw on? Do you do like what is it, Clip Paint Pro now instead of Manga Studio? They call it. Do you have a
I'm
preference?
still using Manga Studio. So yeah, I use Manga Studio 5, I think.
Yeah, I have that one.
Is
That
the
one's
version
that
I
one's
got.
really good. I like that.
Yeah, it's got all the great features on here, so I'm happy with this. This is what I've been using. And yeah, I use a Wacom tablet Cintiq, the smallest version that they offer because that stuff's expensive.
Yeah, that stuff's expensive.
So yeah, that's what I work with.
Right on. And if if we have artists out there that really enjoy your art style and want to catch you on Facebook or something like that and say, hey, how do I kind of approach this? Is that cool? Can they reach out and ask you for
Yeah,
advice?
yeah, absolutely. I feel like with art, there's no right answer. It's just what works for you and finding out, your preferential process. But absolutely, you can ask me anything. I'll tell you how I do it and what I find works. Might not work for somebody else, but that is art. That's what it's all about. It's kind of like it's what works for you. What makes you happy, I guess,
Absolutely.
as an artist.
So, parting thoughts. Anything you want us to know about Drexler before we call it a night? Obviously, we covered some of the tiers and where we stand right now with the Kickstarter. But if there's is there a parting shot that you'd like to give to let people know how cool this book is?
Um, I didn't have anything planned, but yeah, I think if you just go out and check the book, let's check out the campaign, the Kickstarter. That's I guess the most I can really ask is if you go out and check it out. I think I really think you'll be pleased with what you see and intrigued. So I just encourage people to go check out the link, go to the Kickstarter, go to Kickstarter and just search Drexler, and we should come up and just peruse and see what you see and see if you like it and just check it out.
Right on. So I have a really nice shiny 45 in the other room. So if I send that to you, can you draw some Drexler eyes on that? That would be cool. Totally
Sure.
kidding. Totally kidding.
We'll do that.
No, we're not sending any. The Banff podcast does not endorse sending firearms through the mail. But the character is definitely using some serious heat in these issues. So, yeah, just very very cool stuff you got going on, and we really appreciate you coming out tonight and just taking a few minutes to letting us know about Drexler. And we're gonna try and spread the word far and wide and get some eyes on this.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, and
It's been great.
if not necessarily connected to a Kickstarter, if we can get you on for another panel, would you be interested in coming out?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
That's
Just let me know.
amazing.
Hit me up.
Fantastic. Well, for the Banff Podcast and the Indie Creator Spotlight, this has been Nathan Kelly. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming out. Make sure you check out Drexler #2 on Kickstarter. Get there and get it done. Let's get some people pledging into this so we can get into some of those stretch goals. And I'm Walt, and Banff, we're out.